You're now rocking with the best.
Purple yellow, purple yellow, purple yellow, purple yellow.
The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles.
Welcome to the Big Baby Jonathan Sports Podcast.
Oh, he's smoking hot.
The latest Laker news.
Another great Showtime feed.
The greatest Lakers show.
This is going to be legendary for a long time.
This is the Big Baby Jonathan Sports Podcast.
Lakers all day.
Go Lakers!
What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Big Baby Jonathan here. Welcome to Big Baby Sports Podcast. Big Baby Jonathan. I got a very special guest, 7-time NBA champion, big shot, Robert Horry. How's it going, Robert Horry? Hope all's well with you and the family, man.
Man, I'm good. Man, all is good, man. You know, when I saw I was coming on with Big Baby, I usually don't do the big shot thing, but since I knew you was going to be Big Baby, I wanted to join the crew and put a big shot up on mine. What's happening?
Yeah, man. We got a great show for you today. So let's start into it, man. So tell us a little bit about your basketball background as far as, like, I know you played at Alabama, but what was the main reason you pursued basketball? What drove you to pursue basketball?
You know, it's funny that when you grow up in a small town, you play every sport. You know, nowadays these kids are locked in on one sport. And I know that from experience because my 15-year-old, he's locked in on one sport. You know, he's talented enough to play football and baseball, but he's locked in. For me, I played a bunch of sports. And, you know, I wasn't very good at basketball, but I love playing baseball. And, you know, one of my childhood idols just passed away, J.R. Richardson for the Houston Astros. That's who I wanted to be like, man. On that mound, I wanted to bring that heat. But I just started getting taller and taller. And the funny thing is that the strike zone kept getting bigger and bigger. And I was getting some pitches. I'm like, man, this ain't no strike. And I was like, but, you know, credit to my brother. He was like, man, you need to use the height for basketball. And I just started playing ball, and I started getting good at it. You know, I'm not even gonna lie, I was god awful at it to begin with. But when you want to be good at something, you keep striving to be good at it. And I kept striving to be good at it. Next thing you know, I'm one of the best players in my city. Next thing I'm the best player in my state. So just, you know, hard work and sacrifice.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And let's shift over to your NBA career, man. Tell us a little about your journey in the NBA. You know, you got 7 rings, man. Tell us a little about your NBA journey, man. Like, I knew you got drafted by the Houston Rockets, you know? So tell us a little bit about that, and, like, what was it like playing with that dream team over there in Houston?
You know, my journey was it was great. You know, this day and age, so many guys are concerned about where they're going to get drafted. And for me, I was just happy to be drafted. But the icing on the cake was to get drafted by a team I really, really wanted to go to, and that was the Houston Rockets, because I felt like my talents would fit in great with what they had. You know, the only thing they was missing was a small forward. And I said, okay, that's me. You know, I need to go there and play small forward, because in college I played center, and I remember a lot of announcers like, well, he's in my book as a center. I said, I played center out of necessity. My first 2 years at Alabama, I was a small forward. So, you know, now I'm playing center. But, you know, I was so happy to get drafted by the Houston Rockets and spent my first 4 years in the NBA in the Houston Rockets uniform. I went two championships out of 4 years with them. Not bad. So starting now with the Rockets, learning a lot. I look at my career and I think about, you know, it's stages in your life, and this was stages in my career. When you come in the league, you're trying to learn everything possible, get better, you know, and just, you know, strive up that ladder. And that's what it was when I got to Houston. Think about it. I'm learning under Otis Thorpe, Tree Rollins, Vernon Maxwell, Olajuwon, Sleepy Ford, all these guys, these vets who've been in the league, who already accomplished a lot of things, you know. And so they was, you know, took me under their wing. And I was just like a sponge, you know, that analogy everybody used. I was just trying to learn everything about the business of basketball and about how to play the game. So, you know, I was very fortunate to land on a veteran team that cared about me as a person, not just me as a player.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And you bring that toughness, that grit, that grind, that tenacity, man. You don't, you know, you go full throttle on the defensive end and the 3-point line, mid-range. I love your game, man. You know, and you don't.
Thanks.
You know, I like your physicality. And what was it like playing with, like, Kenny Smith and Hakeem Olajuwon in general? Like, what was it like playing with those two guys?
You know, when you're playing with guys, high caliber athlete, it brings the best out of you, because you see how hard they work in practice, and that's what's one of the things about when you go to practice. You don't want to ever be like, oh, become a slacker. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you try to be the first down when you run the sprints, you try to be the last one there, the first one there, getting up shots, putting in that work. And that's what I mean about sacrifice. And a lot of athletes now, they know the sacrifice that goes into getting better.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sacrifice the time. And time is the thing that you sacrifice. And time you can't ever get back. And because with the time you sacrifice the time with your family, if you have a wife, kid, girlfriend, significant, or whatever, you sacrificing that time
Mm-hmm.
because you're working on your craft, and that's the time you can share with your family. So and you don't really think about this when you're in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I never thought about that when I was in the moment. Once you get down to that 15th and that 16 year, where your kids are be like, "Yo, Dad, let's go do this, let's hang out," and you like, "I got to go to practice, I got to go to work, I got
Yeah.
to go on a road trip." That starts to hit home. So that's the one of the things that I've understood a lot is that sacrifice that goes into this game, and that started at an early age because I saw the hard work Otis put in, saw the hard work that Kenny and Dream and Clyde and all these guys put in, and you had to follow that path. The one thing about playing in the NBA, there are gonna be guys that are better than you, but don't let guys outwork you. And because once you keep working and understanding your craft and understanding the game, you can become a good player. You might not become a great player, but you can become a good player that can make a lot of differences on a lot of teams.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And sacrifice is always good to try to win the championship in the NBA and all stuff. And yeah, man, that the Houston Rocket team is very talented. Robert Horry, you were on the team. I just like the energy that you guys brought each night. And what was the toughest series when you guys won the championship that year? What out of all those two championships that you won, what were the toughest series that you guys had to play against? What teams?
All the series was tough, man, because that first round was only 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we happened to play the Clippers. The Clippers had a crew back then. I know everybody's talking about the Clippers nowadays, and for a long period where they weren't that good, but the Clippers with Ron Harper,
Mm-hmm.
um, a bunch of other guys. I even think I can't think of his name. The announcer, he was on that team, but they had a really really good solid team. Kenny Norman,
Mm-hmm.
Stanley Roberts. They had a solid team. So the first rounds were hard because you had to win 3 quickly, and then you had
Mm-hmm.
to get on to the next round. Think about it. I look back at even if you take the '95 championship, that run we had where we didn't have home court advantage, and we had to beat Utah, and they were a 55 plus win. Then we had to go and play San Antonio. The Phoenix Suns, who wanted revenge, and they go up 3-1, and we still win that series. And then we go on to play San Antonio, a 60 win team, and then we go on to play Orlando, and we sweep them. So, you can't really say that a lot of teams were easy because they're all hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's about your dedication, your focus, your mental focus. You know, I remember back in college, one of my coaches used to always say the physical part is over. Because you put in the work for practice, you put in the work for shooting, you put in the sprints. It's all mental. You can
Mm-hmm.
mentally think the game, mentally out, be stronger when you're tired and push yourself through that weakness, and that's what it's all about. And you have to overcome those moments. And if you're mentally strong with a team, you're on the road and the crowd is getting rowdy, are you able to stay focused and not ramp up your game so you get too overexcited, so you either shoot a long shot, short shot, or you just lose your form and your continuity. So it's a lot of things that come into that, and I was very fortunate to start my career out with a vet team that were able to help me through all those moments.
Yeah, man, you are one of the best clutch players in the NBA history, man. You know,
Mhm. Thank you.
and yeah, man, and let's shift to the 2000 Lakers. What was it like being around the late great Kobe Bryant? Like, tell us a story about like Kobe overall in general. Like, what was it like being a teammate of Kobe Bryant?
Well, it was so weird because when I got traded to the Lakers, you watch the draft and you watch all these stuff, and then you're talking about this high school phenom and Kobe Bryant. It was like
Mm-hmm.
high school phenom. That's Moses Malone. That's the high school phenom. You
Yeah.
said, and then you get to practice and you saw the hard work and that he put in each and every day and his will and want to be great. I don't think I ever seen somebody that you could tell them they can't do something and they're gonna go out and accomplish it. And that's how he was. He was just a hard worker, and he didn't like for him not to be able to do anything. Think about that, from playing the piano to doing all this charity work, to getting Oscars, Emmys, whatever it is. You name it, he accomplished it. So he was, he was a great human being.
Yeah, he is, man, and he'll be missed tremendously. And Kobe's work ethic, man, was amazing, and his drive, his drive rubbed off on the team in 2000 with Shaq, you, Derek Fisher, Rick Fox, Phil, like that, like great grind of Kobe rubbed it off on the team, and it was I like that championship, like that championship, man. And we got our rings, man. I got my ring, replica ring, and I got my ring before the Clippers, man. Hey, Clipper Darryl, man, I got my ring before you, man. But yeah, man. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, as you may well know, this year's Lakers have Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Dwight, and all the veteran leaders that they have. So tell us, in your opinion, how do you think it's going to work on the offensive side and the defensive side as a team?
I think the only thing that's going to hurt them, and if it even happens, is the scheduling. Because when you look at the schedule, you think about last season, it was a grind. They played almost every other day, and when you got as many minutes on your body as this team I have, it's gonna be hard to play every other day. It's gonna have to be a lot of load management, and I think also what's gonna be hard, what people fail to realize, is that the way you get better as a team, you always changing the team. You got to get practice time in.
Yep.
And you can't put in a lot of hard practice time because you got those minutes on your body. You got so many things that come into play. So I think with the Lakers, it's all going to come down to scheduling. And I think Coach Vogel is going to have a good way or find a way to make these guys better, because you think about it. LeBron's won championships. AD got a taste of being a champion. That's the most addictive thing in sports. When you win a championship, you want that high again. And so I know those guys want that high.
Hey, me too.
And a lot of those guys who join them, they want to feel that high too. So it's going to be key and crucial to see how the scheduling comes out and how they manage it, because the body ain't right, the wins aren't going to be there.
Yeah, man, I want that high too, man. When we went in the bowl, man, I got super excited, man. I partied for 2 days, man, celebrating. As a fan, man, like, I've not experienced the championship since Game 7 versus the Boston Celtics, man. You know what I mean? And hey, just want to say thank you for throwing that towel at Danny Ainge. I appreciate you doing that.
My pleasure, man. A lot of people around the league really enjoyed that moment.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're a Laker. And what is being a Laker to you, like, overall? Like, what is being a Laker to you? Like, tell us the number one thing about being a Laker overall.
For me, it was a dream come true, because growing up, I was a huge Lakers fan. I was a big Magic Johnson fan, and I knew when I was coming out of college that I wasn't going to go to the Lakers, because the pick was a little too low for where I thought I would go. But in the back of my mind, like, if I go there, I'm going to be excited. And then when I got the opportunity when I got traded here, I was so excited. I was all about, trying to do the best I can for the organization. I remember when I first got here, playing the small forward, and all of a sudden they moved me to power forward. That summer I go home and, train, put 15 pounds of muscle on to try to, to be my best performance at the power forward. So, you do the things that you can to try to work, for the organization in the best. And when when my time came up, I was very upset that they didn't bring me back on that that last year of my contract. And some things were said which I regret, but that's what happens in sports, though. You get upset, because you think it becomes your family. You spend 7 years with someone that's all of a sudden it become your family, and then you feel like you get abandoned. It's like, oh crap, they don't want me no more. But then you have to realize, if you're in a business situation, you have to look at such. And so but now that I'm doing the television and everything, and we had some conversations with Jeannie Buss, and I let her know, that I was upset about it. She said I had a right to be. Anybody has a right to be, because you have to think about on the other side. We trying to move on and get better too.
Yeah.
But and I you have to let it bygones be
Yeah.
bygones. And I'm for me, I have a lot of love for every team I ever played for, except the
Yeah.
Suns.
Hey, yeah.
Because when
Yeah.
you hey, when you win places and you see the hard work and dedication that this franchise gets behind you, you still got I got a lot of love for Houston. I got a lot of love for Lakers. I got a lot
Yep.
of love for San Antonio because you when you grind it out for a championship and you have that city behind you and that staff, not the coaching staff, but the staff, the people that never get talked about, the people in the front office that do the little things to get the organization moving. You got a lot of love for those people. So I'm excited about everything that happened in my NBA career.
Yeah, and you should get a statue outside of Staples Center, San Antonio's Houston Rockets, man, because you hit some big time shots, man. Out of your big time shots out of your whole career, what are your best ones that you like? Your top two best shots in your career of all time, in your opinion? Like, what is the best shot that you ever taken?
And for me, it's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I think about my rookie year hitting a big
Mhm.
shot against Seattle, sending
Yeah.
us to overtime. We lost that game, but hey, I stepped up and knocked down a shot. I think about the shot I hit against Orlando in the finals '95 that to make sure we secured that sweep. And I think about the shot I made against San Antonio, and of course, most everybody remember me from the shot I did in a Laker uniform, which is, a buzzer beater in your building, a new building, and that's the one you get recognized for a lot. But for me, they're all my babies. Every shot I ever made, my baby, and I'm very fortunate to be in those situations and have my teammates and are
Mhm.
either Vlade Divac believe in me. So
That
you do what you can to
that's
play the game.
yeah. He must have been on. He must have been smoking something. He said that was lucky shot. That was not lucky shot. You top of the key, wet like water. Eat, And then you said that he must read the paper or something.
Hey,
Remember that?
yeah, that's.
You know, that was that was a good shot, man.
Yeah, but
I was with
it's
my
so
my
weird about yeah.
mhm. I was with my brother and my grandma, and I was nervous. I'm like, oh, Kobe missed it. And like, as soon as Shaq tipped it out, I was like, or he's gonna catch it, and then boom, it was nothing but net, man. I screamed, ran around my whole neighborhood, man.
Yeah. I
You
know
brought joy.
people
You
always
brought joy to me and my family with your big time shots.
yeah, people always wonder why you were standing out. That's because Kobe always kicks it to me. He knows
Yeah,
I'm going for the game
yeah,
winners. I was still
yeah,
I was still waiting out there. So that's
yeah.
that's why I was still hanging out there because if you think about it, Kobe's kicked it to me so many times
Yep.
winners. B. Shaw has kicked it to the winner. But the one time Kobe kicked it to me and I didn't come through, it was in San Antonio in
Oh
their
yeah,
building. I missed that shot. And so we
rimmed
went
in and
on to
out.
lose that series. Yeah, we went on to lose that series the next game. So, that's
Yeah,
when you miss shots like that, that hurts you more than anything. I've never been so disheartened in the shot I missed in that shot right there. I was just leveled
yeah,
by that because I
and
knew if I knew that would have been my slump buster right there. I could have got
uh,
out of the slump because
uh,
I think I was 3 for 33 in the whole playoffs, and I was like, come on, I need one. But the
yeah,
basketball guys went on my side. It's like we've branded you with enough game winners. We're gonna have to
yeah,
show you some
yeah,
humility right
yeah.
here.
And then you went to San Antonio, hit one against Detroit when Ginobili threw you the ball. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
just you're a great
yeah.
basketball player, man, and
Yeah.
just you're a Laker for life. And me and my family appreciate you always. You bring in excitement to our family with the big time shots. And even when you went to San Antonio, man, I followed you there. I wanted you to win a ring in San Antonio, man. You and Tim Duncan. But like overall, what was it like being around Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Greg Popovich? Like, what was it like being around that great franchise in the San Antonio Spurs? Like that culture.
You know what's weird? Everybody's totally different, and that's what you got
Yeah.
to learn in this life. Everybody's different.
Mhm.
Everybody ain't gonna be like you. Everybody's not gonna talk like you, dress like you, act like you. And the San Antonio Spurs it was nothing like the Houston Rockets. It was nothing like the LA Lakers. Think about it. Houston Rockets was a bunch of vets,
Yeah.
that was set in their ways and all about the business of basketball.
Mhm.
Because that's when the contracts was just starting to get big, multi-million-dollar contract. And then LA was more like, fashion, flashy, glitz, glamour, the whole Los
Yeah.
Angeles vibe. And then San
Yep.
Antonio was like, you know what? You the old bull, we're gonna put out the pasture. And it was just quiet. You just did your thing, try to fly on the radar and do the game. It was just a totally different vibe,
Yeah.
And that's those guys. They didn't want any commercials. They didn't want any of this stuff. They just want to hoop,
Yep.
And you think about it. as a basketball player, you want to learn as much as you can, and then you want to be, in the spotlight as much as you can. When you get to the end of your career, you just want to win and then ride off into the sunset. And that's how each team I played for my career, that's how it was. You want to come in and learn as much, then be in the spotlight, which was the Lakers, and then Spurs was you ride off into you win and you ride off into the sunset, and that's where it was. And all those guys were just about hard work, going to the gym and playing basketball and trying to be the best player they could be.
Yeah, and just like Tim Duncan's game, like I never seen him go back and forth with anybody. When people would talk mess, I know there was when I remember it was San Antonio, Sacramento, DeMarcus Cousins was talking, and Tim Duncan just 5 straight plays, back down, fadeaway, left hook, right hook, and he lets his game do it. The only time I see him get juiced was he hit a 3 top of the key against San Antonio or against the Phoenix Suns. I think to tie the game. I remember that. Tim Duncan's one of the best power forwards of all time. In my opinion.
Yeah, you won't see him get excited unless you're talking about cars, and video games and poker. That's the only 3 things you get excited about. Other than that, of course, the norm, like his kids and his family. But outside of that, those are the only 3 things you're gonna get excited about.
Yeah, man, just like his game, Tim Duncan. I hate the Celtics #1 overall. I don't like Celtics, but the team that I have most respect for is the San Antonio Spurs. I don't dislike them, none of that. They're a team that I respect. You know what I mean? As a Laker fan, I respect Spurs. I know they beat us playoffs, but I respect them because they do things the right way. They don't they're kind of like the New England Patriots in the sense with Tom Brady back then, Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? So they kind of have that the Spurs and New England Patriots kind of have the similarities with each other, in my personal opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how it is when you know nonsense, and you have, and it's a culture, you got people who come out with the no nonsense. You got a coach that has a military background, so that's what happens sometimes with guys. You just follow, you follow the head of the snake. In this case, it was a coach, and then think about it. You have one of the greatest players that ever played this game, and David Robinson on the team, and then you get another guy that's quiet, disciplined like Tim Duncan. You start a culture. Everybody just follows suit. Think about it. Pop military, David Robinson military, discipline, attitude is right, and being good citizens. That's what they were.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Before I get up and on here, man, tell us, out of your 7 rings, what out of the 7 rings is your best out of your 7 rings, man? Like your 7 rings, if you had to pick.
I enjoy all of them, to be honest with you. They all look good. They all were, the end of a grueling season, and the best feeling ever is to win that last game and to hoist that Larry O'Brien. So that's the best thing. That's the best feeling. And for me, winning that first championship, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, they all felt great. Some of them have a little bit more meaning because of the hustle to get to it. Because I think about the championship. I was the easiest, and I think about that the most was in the 2001 championship where we swept everybody but the Philadelphia 76ers. And in that game 1, I hate that we lost so much because we'd have been the only team in history that would ever sweep every game in the finals, and I was so mad that we weren't able to do that. So it gets to that's the only championship that you look back on and you have some regrets about, and that's hard to say. I have a regret about one championship, man. We lost a game. I'm like,
but that pissed you guys off, though. That pissed you guys off.
Yes.
So you guys stepped up. You guys said, okay.
But all of them, all of them are fun, man. You think about so many great athletes that hadn't won championships, man. You think about, look at Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, Dame Lillard. All these great athletes have been there on the cusp of winning championships and can't get over that hump. And so, I think I got over that hump 7 times, and 7 times out of a 16-year career ain't bad. It's a good percentage. So like I said, if you want to win, just put me on your team. You're gonna get your championship. Just believe in Horry.
Hey, since the Lakers are signing some former Laker players, you want to come be a Laker again for this year?
Man, but hey, first of all, if I take this shirt off, you'd be like, "Oh hell no, he can't be no player, man." But
Hey, man, all you have to do is stand in the corner.
no,
LeBron will kick it
man.
to you in the corner, man. Top of the key.
Hey, but you got to play some defense in this game. I don't,
Yeah.
I think anybody can blow by me right now. So, but I did get kind of excited when I saw all the former Lakers being called.
Me
For.
too.
I'm like, are they gonna call man number 2? But no. But yeah,
but
I think I know everybody's talking about the age, but they're gonna be fine, man. I believe, but I'm gonna have a front row seat for this ride because at Spectrum and being this close and being part of the Laker family, so I'm going to enjoy this ride.
And Dwight Howard said that a fan asked him, "You guys are old," and Dwight's like, "We're not old, we're experienced." You know what I mean? Like everybody's a veteran. Yeah. They've been through the playoffs. Carmelo, Russell Westbrook, Dwight, LeBron, AD.
But think about
they all have that experience together. Like not together as a team, but in general on different teams. So I know what Dwight was trying to say on that one. So he's right with their experience.
You think though, you got Westbrook, you got Carmelo, you got those guys who haven't won championships though, and they know that light at the end of the tunnel is damn close. So they're gonna go out and put the best foot forward to get that because it's all or nothing right now. So I think they'll be fine. I know everybody's gonna think, oh, you do silly shit. So old heads, they just do what they need to do to get by. So I think they'll get that championship, man.
And we need to parade in LA. We need to do 2 parades, one from the bubble, the NBA championship for when the bubble, and then this year we're gonna win it. Man, we're gonna win it this year, man. I have all the confidence in my Lakers, and I always keep it on my show, man. If it's a championship or bust this season, it's point blank period. You know what I mean? We have to win the ring. It's you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, man.
Yeah. I'm not there to play, but as a fan, it's rings or bust. Just that simple. As a fan, you got as Lakers organization don't play that over. We made the second round. Oh, we got second round. Let's clap. No, championship or bust. Kobe always said it best. It's all about rings in that organization.
Hey. Second don't do anything for you. Ricky Bobby said best. If you ain't first, you're last. And for me, that's how it's always been. These certificates for second place, these trophies for second place. Even when I was in elementary school, middle school, that don't mean anything. If you ain't the champ, you're a chump.
And I got an award for my podcast. I got second place. I didn't even take it. I was like, I don't want that. I want to win. I want to win an award. And I did win an award the next year. That drove me. It pissed me off. I was like, and anything you do in life, podcasting, music, you want to get that Grammy award, So, but all right, Robert Horry, thanks so much for coming on, man. Appreciate you. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll talk soon, Laker Nation. Peace out.
All right, brother. Be breezy.